What up, my guys? Welcome to another show, Friday NBA Talk with Jay, man. I'm here with our guy, Stephen Keech, as well, man. If you follow the Action Network app, you got that downloaded. Obviously, you know who my guy is, man. The prop god over there at Action Network on the app, man. Make sure y'all go download it. All free picks every single day. What's up with you, Keech? Everything cool with you, my brother? How you doing?
Everything's good, man. Yeah, visiting some family this week. So a little not as plugged in as usual, but yeah, still very much into these playoff games. And yeah, two more tonight. Should be awesome.
Yeah, let's get straight to it, man. It's only two games today, so we're gonna go through them as well, man. Let's get straight to it, down to business in this one, man. Let's go over to the streets of Indiana in this one. Pacers land 7.5 points at the house versus the Knicks in this one. We know that OG Anunoby's out for the Knicks. Now they got four players out, man. They missing OG, they missing Randall, they missing Mitchell Robinson and Bogdanovich as well, man. This team was already thin down to like 7 players here, Keith. Now they obviously Brunson's a little banged up. He's probably gonna play. So if you do like to play Pacers when Brunson's ruled in. Obviously this line will probably go back down to maybe even 6.5. Obviously they list them as questionable just to kind of mess with the bettors. See what I'm saying? They're gonna play with your mind. It's just what they're gonna do. But Brunson's playing this game. Obviously he came back in the second half of the last one. I think he scored like 24 more points after he came back. Right, Keith? Is like, man, nothing wrong with your ass. You had to go. He pulled a Paul Pierce. He had to go use the bathroom or something, man. You see what I'm saying? He needed a change of clothes or something, man. But yeah, Pacers, they've had a double-digit lead, but I believe they've gotten a lead in both of those games in New York. Now they come back to the house. Obviously, it is a bounce back spot. I'll tell you this right now, Keech. I feel like Pascal Siakam is the spot today. We know that OG Anunoby, these two teams, they were two former teammates, and OG was giving him a run for his money. Now Pascal Siakam kind of have like free reigns out there, and obviously the Pacers are going to need him if they're going to win this must-win game. I feel like that's a really good look, either just Pascal Siakam over his 21.5 points, or even PRA because he's been rebounding and assisting as well. But I think that he has a lot better scoring game this time around without having obviously one of the best. Like OG is a top 3 defender in the league. My guy's an absolute stopper out there. Without him on him, even if it's like Precious Achua, I think Siakam goes for probably like 25 points tonight. Keech, what do you think about that? And any other thoughts on what do you think about that Siakam? What do your projections say about him, especially with no OG out there to defend him?
So I think just from a straight minutes perspective, just given how many minutes I expect him to play, I think I'm like a shade over his point prop. Yeah, I'm at 22.28. He's at 21.5, so a little bit above. The only issue I would have is like he actually, which is kind of surprising, he looked pretty good against OG when they were matched up one-on-one, which was surprising. Yeah. Like he was able to get by him a couple times, which I didn't really expect to see. And he shot, I think he shot 2 of 10 when OG went out and when Precious was in there. Precious basically played like all of the non-OG minutes, which I would expect to happen again. So assuming that the Knicks start bigger and, Pascal has to deal with a bigger guy, not obviously somebody who's as defensively talented as OG is, but still a big body. I mean, Pascal's not like somebody who's trying to score around the perimeter. He's trying to kind of get you into the paint. So that makes me a little bit nervous, but I think just given like the makeup of this Pacers team, they're going to lean on him. Still seems like as good of a game as Halliburton had in that last one. It still seems like he's not totally healthy. I'm not like exactly sure what's his deal right now, but
back issue.
Yeah. But
and some of his leg. I think it's some of his leg too, like thigh or hamstring or some shit like that. He's pretty banged. I know they were talking about like that Josh Hart tried to injure him worse on purpose or some shit like that, man. But who knows? But Halliburton is a little banged up, but he started to find his shot there in game 2. When he hit them step back threes, I'm like, oh shit, Hallie is back. But he does kind of seem like he runs out of gas in the fourth quarter. But them at the house, we know role players play a lot better. I think Siakam has a lot better game, even though he was going at OG, like he used to be teammates with Precious Achua as well. So there's something there. You see what I'm saying? But even though Achua might be, I don't think he's the defender that Pascal Siakam is, and if that OG Anunoby is, and if he's drawing fouls as well. Achua's not out there. It's going to be free reigns. I think the Pacers get some foul calls today. They submitted a ton of foul calls to the league, kind of claiming that they weren't getting any calls. They're at the house. If this series is not going to be a sweep, that means that the Pacers are going to get the foul calls today. And I think Siakam probably lives at the foul. He might get 10, 15 free throw attempts. I think Siakam, I think he might go for 30 tonight, bro. I think he bust out here offensively. That's just what I feel. You see what I'm saying? I've been kind of getting a feel on these props, kind of going away from the sides, and I feel like Siakam is his day today.
they're going to have to lean on him. I mean, especially I think Halliburton. I remember Rick Carlisle in that post game press conference, kind of like talking about that play where Josh Hart like pushed him in the back, and they're like, he did it right in front of the refs. They didn't call anything. But yeah, I think they'll obviously need a lot of Siakam. I think now I'm like the most curious about is just to see like how the Knicks rotation looks like outside of like, if Josh Hart, like unless he like breaks his leg, he's playing 48 minutes. Date DiVincenzo, unless he gets hurt in foul trouble, he's playing mid 40s minutes probably. Potential to play the whole game. Brunson could play 42, 43, 44 minutes. If we're expecting Precious to start, I'd probably assume like mid 30s. Like I think there's kind of a wider range of outcomes on him than there is on any of the other starters. But Miles McBride is that sixth man. I assume would still play almost like starters minutes, mid to high 20s with I guess some upside for more. Really curious to see if they use Alec Burks or not. I basically have projected like 10 minutes between Burks and Jericho Sims, like just assuming that maybe they play a backup five, assuming that they're starting Hartenstein and Chua, so no real backup big. Not sure what they're going to do there, but like just there's a couple Knicks, obviously with more Precious, like there's kind of a trickle down effect of that. He's a better rebounder than OG, so it kind of impacts some other guys on the Knicks side, but they just like are playing so many minutes. It's kind of horrifying to like play any kind of unders there. So the Knicks are a tough one. I feel like it's almost like you could maybe try to like parlay some overs. I do think that Brunson plays. I think if this is like even remotely competitive, we see like heavy minutes from all the Knicks starters. There's just like nothing really else.
Like we've seen all year.
Yeah.
I mean, they only really got like 7-8 guys over there. They're gonna play. They're not gonna play. I mean, they're probably not gonna play Jericho Sims because he's like a corpse out there offensively. He gives them defense and rebounding, but like run up and down the floor, he'll get circles ran around him. We won't be able to get props on these guys, but they're gonna have to play Alec Burks a little bit. They're gonna have to, bro. Like you said, I'm expecting somebody to get in foul trouble. Like, I mean, if the refs are watching these games back, they got to admit to themselves. I mean, there might be a hidden narrative. That's why I like doing my own show because I could talk whatever the fuck I want. There's probably a hidden narrative. Like, obviously, they want the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals, but like just going back and watching those games, and I'm sure that all the tapes that the Pacers have sent in, like, they got to look like, damn. I mean, shit, we ain't even making like it's obvious out here. Like you said, Josh Hart, like they're just doing shit right in front of the refs, and they're just like, we didn't see shit. Like, we didn't see nothing. You see what I'm saying? So you got to expect at least for one game that them try to even it up and that the Pacers get some foul calls. And I mean, as thin as the Knicks are, if some guys get into foul trouble, man, it's going to be really tough for them, to be honest with you. And if I feel like if they get down double digits in this one, they kind of might. The Knicks really just never mail it in, but now without them having that home crowd, obviously the Pacers got the home crowd now. Knicks might just mail this one in. You see what I'm saying? So I could definitely see Pacers win this game by double digits, and Knicks kind of just mailed in like, all right, we lost this one. You see what I'm saying? Let's try to steal game 4. But I think the Pacers get up on them. I think they get the foul calls, and I think mainly Halliburton and Siakam are going to be getting the calls today. But I think Siakam, like, that's just something I feel within my bones. Over at 21.5, I wouldn't even talk anybody off laddering up, like taking 25 plus. I think Siakam's the best look here. But you had a look on Nembhard here. What do you think about Nembhard in this one?
Yeah, so I'm kind of interested. The numbers are moving around a little bit. It's still 17.5, but like in his PRA under 17.5, I think the rebounds and assists under 6.5 is also worth a look. We kind of saw in the first 2 games, TJ McConnell play pretty well, and like especially give some of the Knicks smaller guards, like he was working Miles McBride, like almost played him off the floor in that first game. So that's kind of an issue. Like, McConnell's been a better offensive player than Nembhard. Obviously, they're a little bit different. Nembhard, generally a very good on-ball defender, but just like not the kind of guy that can really give Brunson much trouble. He's like not long enough. Like, I feel like if you see the guys that like generally give Jalen Brunson some tough times, or like longer, rangier defenders that can like really just get up into his shit, and Nembhard like isn't really quite that guy. Obviously, there's a risk of foul trouble too, defending a guy like Brunson, which I assume Nembhard will do in the early going. And just how good the Pacers have been with TJ, especially toward in the later parts of games, but like not in the fourth quarter. It does sound like there's a chance that we see more TJ late in the game.
Yeah.
So I think all those factors, like the potential foul trouble. In terms of like rebounding, like Nembhard following Brunson or somebody on the perimeter, not great. Like, not going to be really around rebounds. I don't think the assist opportunities are going to be, quite what we saw in the regular season. His assist numbers have been decent to start the series, but I think as we get deeper, it's going to be more Hallie and probably more McConnell minutes wise. So I think in this game, Nembhard under 17.5 PRA and the under 6.5 RA is interesting. But the number one thing I'm looking at whenever it drops is Prestis Achua rebounding props. I think like the app was pulling some stale line or something that was pulling a 5.5. I saw that. I stopped everything I was doing, tried to find it. It didn't exist. I was very sad. But if it drops anything in that range, like 5.5, 6.5 would be an absolute hammer.
On the over or under?
Over. Just
okay.
Given that I expect obviously him to play a lot of minutes, like we were talking about foul trouble. If Hartenstein or somebody gets in foul trouble, they don't have another center. He'd be even more locked in playing time.
That's a fact.
I do think they might play Jericho Sims a few minutes just because like Tibbs has some degree of trust in him defensively, and that seems to be like the barometer for if you can play for Tibbs. Like does he trust you to like be all right on the defensive end? So keeping a close eye on Precious props and the Nembhard unders. I think really any variation of Nembhard unders is okay. But the PRA and the RA are where I'm going.
Bet. Sound like a plan, man. Yeah, shout out to TJ McConnell. I love the way he plays, man. He plays with so much energy. He's picking guys up full court. He's talking shit to Brunson like, I'm not scared of you. Hey, we're the same height. I know I'm shorter than everybody else, but we're the same height. You see what I'm saying? So shout out to TJ McConnell. I love his energy. They're going to need him tonight. You see what I'm saying? They're going to need him heavily tonight. His offense, he's worked on his offensive game as well. It used to be where he couldn't shoot whatsoever. He's worked on his offensive game. I mean, his best like small guard defender in the league, man. Absolutely love him. Last game up, let's go over to the streets of Minnesota in this one. Wolves laying the 4 at the house versus the Nuggets, looking to try to sweep these bum-ass Nuggets out here. Now, Jokic did just win MVP. You know what I'm saying? I have a lot of conspiracies about that, but Jokic did just win MVP. Keech, what do you think happens in this game? Are there any problems? I'm not lying to you. This is a game that I'm probably just staying off all the way, to be honest with you, because I can't see some fishy shit happening in this particular game, and I don't like that it was 3 days off as well in between the last games. You know what I'm saying? So what do you think happens in this one? I'd like to see the Wolves sweep these Nuggets, man, but I feel like we've seen a lot of sweeps so far in the playoffs and usually don't see that. This is like a different year in the NBA, but definitely stand away from the side in this one. What any props that you like in this one, or do you think the Wolves are going to handle these boys like we've seen in game 1, game 2?
I really don't know. This is like one of the things I went back and forth on the most, I think. Like, especially as a fan, I would like to see Denver give them some run for their money. Like, I would like to see this become like a competitive series, but it just doesn't seem like the Nuggets have enough, especially on offense. Like, the Wolves are just basically suffocating Jamal Murray, and he's obviously, a bit happy. He's just not moving right.
Yeah.
I think the fact that I think the fact that the Nuggets don't have like Michael Porter is an okay scorer, more of a shooter, but like they don't have like a really like the dynamic wing player that can like kind of create his own offense. I think that like in addition to what they have a matchup like this, Denver just has like zero bench depth that they trust. Like I feel like if any of these starters like aren't running well, it's like they just don't have like another option really. There's a chance Reggie Jackson sits. He's questionable.
Yeah,
KCP
I was going to ask you about that. Who should we target if Jackson sits? Because I was at that game and he couldn't even walk out he couldn't even walk to the back. He needed help. Like he stopped in the middle of the damn. He was like right there behind the goal. He stopped and was like, I can't even make it off the floor. When I said that, when I saw that, I said he's not playing the next game. Even though they have had 3 days off rest, I said I don't think he's playing the next game.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine they'll push Murray as kind of as hard as they can. They try to get 30, 40 minutes out of him, but I would imagine that they use like some Christian Brown at the like as kind of a weird point guard with when they didn't have Jackson or didn't want to use Jackson at times toward the end of the regular season. I imagine that they do that. Obviously, like Jokic is really the point guard, but nothing like super interesting from a props perspective. Like Braun, he played I think 11 minutes in that last game. Didn't really run well. Justin Holiday was the bench guy that I think played the most minutes. Like he doesn't rack up stats at all. He's another kind of tough guy from a betting perspective. It's not very interesting. Peyton Watson wasn't good. They don't seem to like really want to take any kind of longer look at him. It's just thin there right now. It's kind of crazy how
crazy.
Like, in 2 games, like the entire idea of the Nuggets has like shifted
Mm-hmm.
Completely.
It's crazy, bro. Because Peyton Watson played a ton in the regular season. Like he was balling, and he's like, "Oh, okay, I'm this big, I'm a baller now." You see what I'm saying? But in the playoffs, these guys are literally just crawling into their fucking shell. Brown, Peyton Watson, all these in the regular season, oh y'all big and bad, or versus the Lakers, y'all big and bad. But now it's like where the fuck are they? So I'm saying I think it's crazy as hell. But I think one thing people are asking about Nas Reed PRA for the third time in a row, possibly at the house. He's just an absolute horrible matchup. But I think Jokic gets the calls today. I think Jokic might shoot 20 free throws in this game. I think Jokic over 28.5 points. That's the only way that I'll be taking this game. Obviously, just one MVP. Mike, like Conspiracy J says that they don't want their MVP looking bad or fuck around getting swept. Get him getting over his 28.5 points. He's probably getting 20 free throws here. Now, I know that in games 1 and games 2, they were absolutely mauling them, and they weren't calling, like, we got to be real with ourselves. Wolves have the best defense in the league, but a lot of this, like, they're just beating the Nuggets up. So I'm saying this is why I'm staying away from sides, because what happens when the refs are actually calling shit? Well, what happens when they choose, oh, no, this particular game, we want to call that shit, and the Wolves aren't allowed to play how they want to play. See what I'm saying? And Gobert, couple quick early fouls. Carl Anthony Towns, couple quick early fouls. Nas Reed, couple quick early fouls. What happens then? So I'm saying, I think Jokic, they're probably the refs are probably going to be giving him the calls tonight. I think he probably goes for 30 points. They probably tell him too, hey, look, just drive to the basket. We're gonna get they breathe on you. We're gonna call the foul, man. So watch Jokic get like 15 free throws. I bet you this shit. I think he goes over his 28.5. That's what I would be looking at in this one. And shout out to Little Picks as well. Nuggets first quarter early and often in an absolute desperation spot. See, I teach my people some guys. He knows how to look at this game. That's the only way. If I was looking towards the side, obviously the Nuggets, they haven't been covering any first quarters, but if they don't cover this first quarter, they have no chance at winning this game. You got anything else on this one, Keech? What do you think about Jokic possibly going over his 28.5?
That's probably my favorite prop in this game, I think, would be Jokic over points. I think the other thing it's interesting, I'm like kind of having a tough time talking myself into it, really, but I do feel like we're kind of overdue, and you alluded to the foul issue. I think we're a little bit overdue for a Karl Anthony Towns foul trouble game, or at least some game where he's like kind of a little bit more limited. The under 7.5 rebounds, I've been kind of considering. That's been really the thing, the problem with him that I've wanted to get in on. Potentially the RA under. But his, like, obviously on defense, I think if they have it their way, they're using Rudy a little bit as a roamer, with Cat kind of handling Jokic as best he can. So I think that could bring about its foul issues tonight. So yeah, I think the Jokic is probably the thing I like the best, but also kind of keeping an eye on Towns. And there is a chance I end up, making that an official play, logged in the app. So keep an eye out there.
Yeah, and if you talking about Jokic over points, right?
Mm-hmm. Well,
yeah,
both of those. Also, the Cat under rebounds is another thing. I'm like, I'm trying to find reasons to talk myself out of it. We'll see if I get there.
Hey, if y'all like those, you better take them now, because once he puts that shit in the app, they gonna move, man. I'm telling you that right now. Like that 28.5 gonna be, both of those prices, either they'll still be there, but they'll start to get juiced to like minus 150. So if those are looks that you like, you definitely better take it, man. Because a lot of guys follow my guy Keech on the app, and like I say, once he posts something, that shit starts getting hit quick, man. But that's how it happens with sharp plays. You know what I'm saying? Sharp bettors. When they posted something on there, it's a lot of people finna start taking it, especially on the prop. The juice will move pretty fast, my guys. So, but let's get out of here, man. There's only 2 games. We talked about them, went into them depth. What do you like for today, Keech? What are you looking at, my guy? Any leans, whatever you possibly like. And I know we just talked about Jokic points, Karl Anthony Towns on the rebounds. What else are you liking for today's?
So the Nembhard under 17.5 PRA, under 6.5 RA, I think is a good look. Pacers first half. Also, I'm like kind of in trying to figure out what the line is currently.
Yeah.
Looks like minus 4.5, roughly, pretty juiced though.
Yeah, probably go down
out there.
If Brunson's ruled in. So it's 5.5 everywhere that first half for the Pacers.
Yeah, I think FanDuel might have a 4.5 minus 130 according to Scores and Odds at least. But yeah, I do like that. I know it's like it's a big number. I mean, the spread in this game is what, 7?
Yeah.
So yeah, you're paying 7.5. So you're paying even like more than half for that. But I think that obviously, like, these trends with teams coming home at down 2-0, I think that the books have caught on to that a little bit. But I think it's still a thing. I really like the spot for the Pacers. Just not for the sole reason that they're down 2-0 going back home, but they are now playing a Knicks team that's even more thin without OG, arguably one of the best defenders in the NBA, and with a hobbled Brunson, who is by far their best offensive creator. So you have a hobbled guy on offense who, is your offense, and a guy on defense who is not there, who is your best defender. That's an issue, especially going on the road here. And I think, like you said, that we could see the Pacers get a friendly whistle at home here tonight. So yeah, big on the Pacers first half. That's like my favorite non-prop play. And then the Nembhard unders, Cat under 7.5 rebounds, I think is interesting. And Jokic over 20.5 points, just given where we're at in this series and the situation, I think is a good look.
I like them. Yeah, I'm not gonna talk anybody off the Pacers. I just that number start to move like really quickly, man. It's just some of these, like, you waiting on the day of the game is really tough to get value. So I'm saying the Pacers should win this game by double digits, but I know me personally, it's a ton of that value you miss out. Once that game was over, game 2, and you hopped on it, then you're really smart. So I'm saying if you wait until today, it's like you're definitely catching the ass in the line, man. So that's the only problem. But it definitely should be a Pacer spot. Like I said, if they get about double digits, Knicks might just like mail this one in and be like, all right, let's go. They never mail games in, but they might just be like, all right, let's get to, you know what I'm saying? Let's get to game 4 and try to steal that one, man. But I expect the Pacers to get the calls today, to be perfectly honest with you. And I'm not lying. I expect the Nuggets to get the calls as well. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I hope the Wolves sweep their ass. Like, that's what I'm hoping. But we've seen so many sweeps so far in the playoffs that, like, the NBA doesn't really like that. That's less money for everybody. The teams, the NBA, you know what I'm saying, is less money for everybody. And we know that this, like, the whole world, the money, the cash rules everything around me. You see what I'm saying? So it's all about money, my guys. I know if it's me, I feel like Pascal's like one spot that's really speaking to me is Pascal Siakam over 21.5 points. But I do feel like Jokic, I think he gets the calls. I think the refs, I think they're in the Nuggets back pocket today. Jokic just won MVP. They can't have him looking bad. I'm just telling you how I feel, how I see it. So I call it how I see it. I think Jokic might have 10 free throw attempts in the first half here. So I don't think that they're going to let the Wolves beat him up today. That's just me personally. See what I'm saying? So I'd be looking at Jokic over his 28.5 points. He's their only way right now. And with their 3 days off of rest as well, it's just, you know what I'm saying, maybe Murray might look a little bit better. But if you do like the Nuggets, if they don't cover the first quarter, they got no chance in this game. It's that simple. They got to come out and smack the Wolves in the mouth. Other than that, they got no chance in this game. But Jokic has to be the catalyst, the MVP. I don't agree with him being MVP, but I'm not even gonna get into all this shit. You see what I'm saying? I do think SGA got robbed, but that's a whole different story there. We have we have a center winning MVP 4 straight years, man. People say positionless basketball, they still have a C next to their position. They're still doing the tip-off as well. So that means they're the fucking center. So I don't care what anybody has to say about that. Still 4 centers winning it straight back-to-back. I don't know what we're doing in the NBA anymore, man. But it's all love, man. But whatever you guys are betting, best of luck. And like I say, if you like them props, man, the Keech likes, you better get on them shits before he posts them, because their juice is gonna move heavily, man. But it's all love, man. It's Us Against the Bookies, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. If you like the show, if you like the info, hit the like button one time, man. Let's try to get I want to say let's get 1,500 likes on the show, my guys. Let's try and get 1,500 likes on the show, and I'll go over to do the Saturday and Sunday show as well, man. It's all love. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. Hit the like button. Go follow my guy Keech on the Action Network app. Go download the Action Network app. It's all free. We out, my guys. Hope y'all have a great day, great weekend. All lit. We out, baby. Let's go. Let's catch.